Hello guys and welcome to this special episode of Michi's Esport Diary, and today we're talking about the rFactor 2 competition system. We're talking about the video where I asked you guys, where I asked the community and the people watching the streams of what could be improved on the rFactor 2 competition system, or actually what should be improved, or what kind of features we're lacking. And today we're gonna talk about the result. I know I wanted to do this a lot earlier, but sadly Corona has come and stuff, so I got my book and my notes, and well, we're going to explore what have been the answers on the question of how the rFactor 2 competition system could be improved to have a larger audience, to have more interaction, to have more users on it, and overall support the rFactor 2 user numbers. We start off with basically going through some of the comments that have been left on the system, and I just want to read out some of them and give my opinion on it, give my feedback on it before we sum them up as a whole, before we sum them up as a total, and then gonna have a conclusion on it. So one person just noted down as one of the most experienced user in the competition system, and that's true, because I think on that unofficial, there is the Simracing projects.cloud, the unofficial rFactor 2 competition explorer. He is the person with, I think, the most wins or the most sessions he has taken part in. So he legitimately can say that he is one of the most experienced users in the system. Here are his thoughts. So first, it needs some kind of rating and it needs to be more rewarding. The series should be highlighted on the game's first page, on that competition square. Next up, he says oval racing. Right now we only have the audience on Euro time zones. For American time zones, it must be attractive to new players. Another point he's raising is that content should be better picked. So no way the Alpine should be there. He's just awful. That's just his personal opinion. Some tracks also need a visual touch, and I can't understand why they still use the old Sanford. That's actually a valid point. Support for endurance racing, so driver swaps needs to be there. The competition system page should be reworked like the UE was. Very true. Remember, the competition system still has the old kind of fashioned beta UI that we have had for over a year, since Christmas 2020. We need some kind of in-game system to report bad players. Well, I don't think you mean bad players, but drivers that don't know how to behave. Another point is it should have an official video guide on how everything works. I see a market niche right there for myself. Noted. It should be better advertised. A few times there was something posted on the socials that had some information wrong. It should have an official video guide how everything works, how to download the content, how to register to a series, how to join a race, how to check rankings, how points ranking works. I really like that feedback because it sums up most of the things that I have seen in the comments area all around, which is one of the reasons why I've just put it out as one to actually go through in detail. So first off, he starts with a rating. 100% we should need a rating. So rFactor 2 has some kind of rating, otherwise the system wouldn't be able to rank us players relative to each other, as in it wouldn't be able to give a championship counting points, the 500, 497, 494 and so on. So it wouldn't be able to do that if there wasn't a rating recorded in the background that is able to play all sessions that are working, or play all sessions that have happened against each other, and then give us a ranking on who's first, who's last. So I'm pretty sure that is a ranking in the background that exists. So it would be awesome to have that rating shown to the player base as a player statistics 100%. Another valid point is about the endurance racing thing. So right now you can only do sprints, you can only do sole racing, you cannot join a session as a spectator, therefore you can't swap drivers and so on. That is something that we desperately need for the competition system, to have larger events such as, let's say, Le Mans Virtual Series. I mean, you know, talking about the rating fact that you want to have, and then you obviously want to have the big competitions running on the competition system itself too. So we need to get a rating out. We need to make sure that endurance racing is possible. And then about the oval racing, well, I think it's always personal liking, but of course it's very true. We so far only have road course. We are only having that specific type of racing that the Europeans are mostly used to. Not saying the Americans are not, but let's face it, very popular on the American side is oval racing. We have the new IndyCar that has gotten out. We got Daytona out now with Motorsport Games. We got a US-based country, so it would make sense if some oval racing, and especially attracting the American market more, would be on the to-do list. About the video guide and how everything works, I can help out in this one, so we'll see. And any other thing, like the CS page should be reworked and look like the UI was, or the new UI looks like. That is a very good point. I don't necessarily think, though, this is like super necessary for the functionality of the system itself. Personally, I would probably go for the features and the user experience as such, as in what can the system provide in terms of entertainment or in terms of satisfaction, so to say. Next up, we have a comment from Just Posted. I want to know how many people are signed up to a race before I join it. It's frustrating when there are two races close together. I'm not sure which one is more popular, so I sign up to both, as do others, but only join once, which means obviously, on the one hand, both counters are up, but both races may not be attended big time at all, so that is certainly a downside from it. I think it should be more like server browser, where you can see how busy one server is and how one can choose and join the more popular one. Not necessarily once the system takes off, but the community tends to be split. And that is very true. I think there is a major issue with the competition, and it's so easy, you know, there is a time ticking where it says register here, and here's the time left, and it would be just adding a single line at the back of this number saying 7 entries so far. I think, and as far as I understand that this UI and this competition system UI is designed in HTML, and obviously the information is there, just one page deeper. Just put that information, keep it in the one page deeper when you actually registered for it. That's absolutely fine, but also get that information out from that page, put it on the front page, give more overview, and see. So when you're joining the competition system, you're subscribed to 3 different series, and both of them or all 3 of them are running at the same time. Then I'm like, I need to pick this race because there's 14 entries already. So I think that is a very good point. Eric has an interesting comment too. iRacing does a great job, but a smarter and independent safety rating analysis system would be a good thing. It doesn't have to be real time. People keep saying it's impossible to make, but Simracing was impossible 40 years ago. And we already visited the moon, AI control before that. Being penalized on your license for randomly being punted is weird and unrealistic. And the explanation of it being like money budget you lose in the crashes, etc., doesn't cut it in my opinion. With a low safety rating you can't promote and will be demoted at the end of the season. It creates a certain way of driving and becomes part of the strategy, and the worst, it creates a surreal image of what motorsport is about. I really want to agree with that. I think we do need a kind of easy, specific safety rating service, but On the other hand, I've seen different things. I've seen how ACC is doing it. I see how iRacing is doing it, and he also mentions iRacing for doing a great job, and I think they do. But Jesus Christ, safety rating on iRacing, I hate it. I hate it so much. Like a single off track, you get 4x, you get punted. It's not your fault, but you get penalized for it. Your safety rating also suffers. Of course, it's always it takes two to tango and so on. But you know, it's just so unsatisfying and frustrating. So I kinda get what he means. I think ACC is doing it different. It kinda counts in how much incidents you are involved per lap or per minute or whatever. So that kind of contains the same issue, yet serves the point a little bit, or yet serves the need. So it will be interesting to see how that carries on, and how rFactor 2 will create a rating system around this. There is another comment speaking about the multiplayer, again, a rating system for competitions. He says, I'm noob, but I like to race, but I don't enjoy many times because for the 5 to 8 seconds slower than the aliens around me. Second, he mentions official competitions for all the cars, not just for the Alpine GT4, for the IndyCar, etc. That's a good point. I think there should be a little bit more variety of things. Opportunity to participate in the competitions, even if I don't have all the tracks or all the content that I need for racing. And that is a valid point. I hear those rumors a lot, that people are like, yeah, if I need to do multi-class racing, I need to own all cars, I need to own all tracks to even take part, despite I just maybe want to just race in specific races. It's a valid point. It's just, I also spoke with Marcel Offermans about this a couple of I think, was it years? I think it was a month ago, quite some while ago. And it's just, they have considered the business model, them compared to iRacing and rFactor 2. And obviously one got to say that the content is a lot cheaper. So you buy a car for €5 or €6 and I think a track for 8. And that kind of makes up for it a bit. That said, I think, you know, there is pros and cons for both business models, and probably you will always have someone that argues with one, whether that is you need to have all the content, or whether this is you just need to have the specific or whatever, and therefore the content is more expensive. Then obviously the other people that don't do multi-class racing be like, yeah, why do I now need to pay twice as much for the content? But I think that's a difficult one to tackle. That's for sure. But anyway, I think that's something Motorsport Games and rFactor 2 or Studio 397 needs to decide for their business what it's best. And in all fairness, I don't mind having the content board all around, because with an ever-changing BOP, at the end of the day, you're probably gonna buy it anyway altogether, since, you know, one time there's the Ferrari GTE Quick, then it's the Aston Martin GTE, next time it's the Corvette C7 or the Corvette C8. So you kind of move around with that anyway. Another reply out of the conversation then was, sometimes it's confusing that I don't know where to stop in the pit lane. I might not be bad at it, but put it there one mechanics where to stop there. I thought about this a little bit, because I was like, yeah, I always see this red shiny thing, but or this red highlighted box, but I get it. And iRacing, at least you have one mannequin with a lollipop standing in your pit garage, and also an ACC, the indication of where your pit garage actually is a lot bigger, a lot more alert. So I noted that feedback down as well. Papa Kuhn has also left a comment. iRacing system without the weird track limits and car contact penalty system. Also a system that rates you on something like your average speed, consistent driving, besides your race result. So basically a combination out of iRacing system and ACC. I like that approach. Will be interesting to see what kind of route rFactor 2 chooses, because there has to be a rating coming. So yeah, will be interesting to see. So then we had another comment from Dark4C. For multi-class, I would love, you just need the car that you're racing for the DLC items, such as if I race LMP2, I just need the Orica and not the GTEs. We already spoke about that comment, or that type of content in the comments. Employee of the month, sign up far in advance, see when the signing up, how many people join, being able to join during a qualifying, no stupid issues all the time, sign up via web. It's more like a bit of bullet points, but it kind of tackles the same thing. Like, we want to see how many people are registered up front, given an adequate time of registering for the race. Maybe also see a lot more into the future of the timetable. Right now we got, like, you know, on such a space on the screen, we got the next 4 sessions. It could also be the next 8 or next 10 sessions, I think. Oh dear. Hochi-chan. Any kind of ranking, safety rating, like iRacing or Low Fuel Motorsport and ACC. Practice server like iRacing, plus own skins, so downloadable skins within competition system races. Yeah, I agree with the skins, would be a nice feature indeed. Practice server like iRacing, where you're like joining and then you register for the race and it automatically takes you into the session. That would be nice as well, that's for sure. Like, whenever you register to a to a race, you kind of book the server up front anyway. So makes total sense to ask for such kind of functionality, and I would be absolutely up for that. John Duncan has also left a longer comment. It's not a bad system, I like the championship structure. The way points are earned though shouldn't be some OFAC algorithm, it should be more transparent. And even if that just means a thorough explanation on the competition system is needed, then just give it to us. Also, there is this annoying bug at the moment, slowing down the interface, only in the CS system when you want to register for races. I think that bug has been resolved. Tracks load fast enough now, at least for him. Not for me. Another thing I'd like to see is the CS having a website with the standings dedicated to it. Of course, there is simracingproject.cloud, what we've already mentioned, doing this, but their site doesn't always work as it should, and it's not official. Obviously, we all want to see a rating system, very true, but the biggest thing missing right now is regularly decent grids. And that's a good point, and something that rFactor 2 can't add per se is obviously to add drivers on it, so that's going to be difficult. But I very much agree with him in this matter. So yeah, I think that slowly makes up for it. John is not an iRacing player himself. He did some play with ACC, with Simracing systems on Assetto Corsa. There were ratings and you could look at any drivers' parts results, like, yeah, basically the iRacing system overall. Postipate just said, just copy iRacing. Fair point, iRacing. And I think I've heard that a lot, like, just copy iRacing, because iRacing is obviously the benchmark when it comes to competition system and community involvement, and that actually makes up for it for the sole comments. And I think cheers, it's time for a conclusion, and I have noted the most important things, and I've also given them kind of a little bit of ranking in how important they are and how often they have been mentioned. So at this stage, we'll just recap on what we've heard and what we've read around the comments. So guys, here's our conclusion. What do we need on the rFactor 2 competition system, and what kind of features there should be? And this is important, please. Now, Motorsport Games, please listen. Studio 397, please listen. And to who it may concern, whoever is going to take the decision on which direction rFactor 2 shall go, please have a proper listen, because this is what the community wants. And at the very top, a rating system and driver stats. That is the key point on a competition system. Why we do want to have a competition system, why racing games have competition system. They are there for competition. And we appreciate all the little series and the little leagues that are going on and the little competition weeks that we have on the rFactor 2 system, but it just gives a ranking that is not transparent, and winning a title actually doesn't mean a lot, because you've won that title and the day that this competition is over, it vanishes in the internet, it vanishes in the dark, it vanishes in some kind of library, but it's not accessible anymore. It's not saying, oh, there was this one series that the guy XY has won. So we need driver profiles, we need driver ratings, we need performance ratings, we need safety ratings, we need result history, we need literally a lot of the things that iRacing does have. And iRacing is the benchmark in that regard. We don't need a full iRacing revamp or a full iRacing copy, but we do need driver specific statistics, we do need driver related ratings, whether there is some very generic rating, and it might also be just generic, just get us a rating in, let it work against each other, make it a beta version or whatever. It will drive the system. It will bring people to the races, it will bring people to the competition system, because it's going to be rewarding as they see a direct effect on their player statistics and their player profile when they get rated according to their racing that they do. That makes the rFactor 2 system a lot more desirable to race. It's not like you just kind of race for nothing in between, because that, you know, that perception can occur if you're just racing and then there is a result and you don't know. Like, I got second in one race behind the guy that has is P2 or P3 in the series at the moment, and I got second behind him, 7 seconds down, but I got ranked in P66. So why? Yeah, it's not trivial, it's not transparent. So we do need a rating system and driver statistics. That comes to the other part. We need full grids. We need the competition system to be used, and that is the perfect way to introduce more people to the competition system, because it's rewarding, because they actually compete virtually against each other on a larger playing field than what it is right now. And arguably, I guess, bringing that system in, making it more lucrative, more attracting to the players, will also sell more copies of rFactor 2, we'll get more players, and we'll get more database, we'll get more, I don't want to say bugs found and bugs reported and solved, but overall it will long term increase the quality of the sim. So rating system is extremely important. Next up, well, copy iRacing, it says here, for a lot of times mentioned. I'll just gonna skip that point. Some other people were still complaining about the bugs. I know that they are worked on, so I'm not gonna keep writing on them. But then we have more vast content to be used, and enable multi-class and endurance racing, as well as driver swaps. This is another thing which is very important. Besides the rating and besides the statistics, we need to have a lot more series going on. For 6 weeks you have the USF 2000, you have the Alpine cars, you have the IndyCar. The IndyCar lately is not really popular since it's a difficult to drive car, 40-minute races. I saw the same thing with the Formula Pro car back a few weeks ago. So what would speak against putting up a GT3 car series? I don't know, another tattoo series, fixed and opened. A GTE or even a multi-class series where you run LMP2 and GTEs, even though it's just a 40-45 minute sprint. Make it twice fuel consumption, make it twice tire consumption. That will just give you more data, more usability on the game, more traffic on the competition system, more stress, and more research data that you can use to improve the system. On another point on the list, being able to compete despite not having all content. I do know that the structure and the code of the game kinda prohibits that. Probably something that cannot be fixed. I just want to mention it to you because it is a point that is going on in the community. Personally, I do understand if it's not possible, and also from a personal point of view, I do not see it as being the biggest issue. It's like kind of cherry on the top of the cake thing. That's how I would probably put it into importance. Something very important though is own skins. I personally have my own skins as well. I bring in my own skins into the competition system. They can only be seen by me though, which I mean, for me it's fine, and for my streams it's fine, but obviously the recognition by other people, and especially when big esport teams are trying to make a competition or taking part in the competition. There was this race of the season where you guys had to grab liveries up front for the broadcast and for everything, and get out and own mod and whatnot. So maybe enabling a download transfer, or enabling to run own skins and make them visible in the multiplayer section, in the competition system multiplayer section, that would be probably another feature to be looked at. And that actually makes up for it. So I think it became quite clear that the most and absolutely most important thing is bring in a rating and a ranking system. It is so important because it will drive all the other issues that may be in the business or whatnot. You know, we have higher player numbers. They now disintegrated a little bit for whatever reason, but we can bring them back up. With a ranking system, you make the competition system so much more interesting, so much more alive. You get the big grids in, and when the grids are big, the people are like, oh, we're finally not racing 4 or 5 or 6 guys, but now it's 15, now it's 20, and somehow we split up, and then we have 2 servers with 20 people, and everyone is like, yeah, you know, the system is alive now. We have a rating, we have a ranking. Look, I have beat him, and he got that ranking, and that just brings the talk in, makes the simulation a lot more accessible, brings in more different players that are finding different things, that are giving more feedback, that are reporting more issues, and may be able to point out more thoroughly on what kind of features or what kind of issues to focus on in the meanwhile. Of course, I do understand we need new content, and there is a lot of stuff going on in the pipeline, and you have other agreements and services to fulfill that. Well, we all do understand that, but just think about it. I'm just saying this out of my head, not sure whether it is an issue or not, but if you're looking for increasing the rentability or the revenue of the sim, obviously bringing in new content, developing new content is one opportunity, but selling more copies of already existing content, because it's all used and it's likely to be used in the competition system, that is another way of making good money. And I think that drives your business, and it drives our business as the rFactor 2 competition system. So I think bringing in a rating is the most important thing. And I think that's, on that note, I just want to end it up, guys. That was the analyzation of what you guys think, what the rFactor 2 competition system should have in features, how it should be improved, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope we can move it forward, the rFactor 2 competition system altogether, and I thank you for all your comments and hope you have a good time. See you and goodbye.